Thanks for staying with us. Joining us in the studio today to discuss a policy aimed at promoting women's economic empowerment and address gender inequalities. That is Nigeria's National Women Empowerment Policy. Is a seasoned global leader and social impact architect who translates vision into reality. She's the founder and CEO of Eden Venture Group. Welcome with us, Fifehan Osinkalu, to the show. Good to have you.
Thank you so much.
So we hear of the gender empowerment policies almost all the time, and we wonder what exactly are these policies and how does it really translate to the average woman? So we hear of policies. So give us an idea what the policies are that the government is trying to enforce to ensure that women are helped. But then I would like you to take us to what's next after the policy. What happens afterwards?
Absolutely, great question. And thank you for having me. It's really a pleasure to be here today. This is obviously one of the core examples of what we want to see more, women in leadership, women in the front, and speaking about important policies like these. The economic empowerment policy is actually strongly aligned with the current, administration, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda, to essentially lift women out of poverty. Because at the end of the day, when women are empowered, when the economy is thriving, when women are thriving, the economy thrives, right? Communities thrive, and so it is very important for us to essentially advocate for this policy. You asked a question, you said, why? So, why we keep hearing about these policies, but what are they actually doing? Well, what they're doing is they're creating, they're enforcing opportunities created for women. For instance, if we had more women in agriculture, right now we don't, the statistics are quite dire. I brought all my papers here because I wanted to make sure that I got all the,
anything.
Yes, I wanted to make sure I got, so for right now, Nigeria's current gender gap stands at 70% of women are economically extremely poor, right? 45% of women have, only 45% of that population of women, right, have financial access to financial services. Only 10% of women are actually landowners, even though a lot of women are working in agriculture. Only 10% of them are landowners. 7.6 million girls are out of school. 7.6 million. 34% of Nigerian women and girls have absolutely no access. Are the only have access to internet, meaning we have over 60.
So just 34% of women have access
to the internet, and in leadership, 1 out of 5 board members, 1 out of 5 women are board members. So 1 out of 5 women in leadership are board members. So what we want to do is we want to see an increase in that, right? Because if we're including and prioritizing women in policy making and program design, then we're able to ensure that we're represented, wholly in the economy. When we're able to improve women's political participation and representation, same thing, we're able to avoid some of the pitfalls that we're seeing right now in our political climate. When we have better education and health outcomes for women, we have better outcomes for families. They say health is wealth. So women's economic empowerment is going to also help, in terms of improving health for women. And of course, it's going to boost economic productivity and diversification.
Okay.
So what's the so how does we policy, WEE policy, come into play? Because just as Mariah mentioned earlier, we've heard about policies and women, and every year we celebrate women and we talk about these policies, but that's it, we just discuss them. And we don't see it translate to everyday woman. I'm sitting here, I would like to see how this policy affects me and how it would help me be maybe 2 out of 5 women who become board members, or a larger number of women who are educated and own land. How does we policy help?
So first, the biggest way it helps is by all of us being more conversant of this policy, right? I think a lot of times, yes, we hear about the policies, but we're not actually conversant. We actually don't know what exactly is in the policy. Then the second thing is being able to actually, interrogate the policy with our policymakers, with the, with our government, with the people who are representing us in the government, right? Being able to engage them in the conversation about the policy. And then the third thing is to make sure that we ourselves, people who do have the opportunity, who do have the access, are ensuring that their in their companies, in their organizations, they're, providing opportunities for other women, right? Because and also making them aware of this policy, because if you don't know that the policy exists, then you can't hold your, lawmakers accountable. And so the biggest thing is also accountability. That's one of the key priorities here.
Let me ask, how are we? That's also in alignment to her question. How do we translate this from just policies to women taking up the roles? For instance, you talked about access to education. In part of the policy talks about access to financial tools, loans for business women, and all of that.
Absolutely.
Now, how do you take it from the policy level into a woman's ability to either get the loan or financial tools? Are there programs designed to get women involved while you're attending the program, you're aware of the program, you're being sensitized? Or are you just expected to, on your own, find the policy, and how do you move the policy from paper to your business as a woman, or into trying to become a board member, or into succeeding in your craft? How do you move that?
So it's a twofold process, right? At the end of the day, as citizens, we have to also take responsibility, right? At some point. We worked with, when I say we, because we're part of, some of the civil society organizations that helped to develop the policy. We were actually included in the development of the policy. People from development groups, from private sector, obviously, public sector, people across, different organizations and women's groups were involved in developing this policy. And so it's important for these same people, right, to share this information across the different groups that they are a part of. And the reason I say, and the reason this is important is because the policy is there for us to hold government accountable. I know I keep saying holding government accountable, because the government they can only say, okay, we need 35% of women in leadership. And then the institutions then have to follow suit. It's us in these institutions that have to now go to our HR or whatever whatever leadership in those groups to then say, this is what our rights are as women. We are, the policy states that we're supposed to be represented in leadership. Right now it's only 15%. We can come together, put together a petition, or even just demand, right, a change from these different leaders in the institutions, because the policy is there for us. It's literally a tool for us to use to demand the change. The government can't do that for us.
Okay, so we're always talking about the agricultural sector every single time. So I want to ask, how are you reaching out to the women in the rural areas? Because these ones are not educated. They are not even aware of all of these things. So I'm wondering how this initiative is going to reach out to them. What are the measures in place to reach out to such kind of, because they are the ones in the real farming.
Absolutely.
So I can imagine there are so many restrictions. You have this kind of restriction, like they'll tell you that you must be at a certain age before you can access funds for your business to grow and all. So how are you trying to get to people in the rural areas, the women?
So that's a great question. One of the key things that we're doing in this process, right, is, like we've said, advocacy, right? And in advocating, we're advocating for domestication in the various states. And what that means is that we're going to different states to ensure that the policy is accessed by even, everyone from, the north, the southeast, wherever you are. And in those areas, we're engaging community groups who are having these, for lack of a better word, sensitization conversations. For instance, Lagos State is currently in the process of domestication. We had, last week, like a workshop, right, to explain essentially the roadmap for getting these, this policy, domesticated within Lagos State, so that these women, these different women's groups can have access to understand their rights that they can demand, right, from Lagos State government and from federal government, and from their own, from the different organizations in there that they need, whatever support from.
So, as a civil society member and who also try to advocate for more of these policies. What has been the result so far in your own experience since working with government and helping to ensure that these policies are properly transcended to women across the nation? What has been the success story so far?
So to be honest, with the biggest success story, well, not the biggest, but one of the biggest success stories is in Kano State.
Okay.
Again, recently they had a, kind of a retreat with the various commissioners within Kano State, obviously led by her honorable commissioner in Kano State. Again, to have a conversation to help people understand their rights. See, the thing about the policy is that we're currently in the process of just having everybody even be aware that it exists.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you have to be aware that it exists for you to even be able to demand
Yeah.
your rights.
Yeah.
If you don't know that it exists, and if the general public sector, private sector, whoever are not aware, are not made to be aware that look, these are my rights. This is what the government is saying. If you're not doing this, we're going to report it to the government, for lack of a better, like this is just even me saying it in plain terms.
Yeah.
We're going to report it to the government. You're supposed to be doing this thing. You're not doing it. So you can go to your to whoever your lawmakers are and say, these people are not doing this thing, right? And they don't want to be sanctioned by the government. But if you don't even know that you can do that, then you're still going to stay in the same position that you are. So it's a powerful tool for people to have. It's actually an empowerment tool for everybody to be able to have. And the thing is, it affects everybody. If women are empowered, the entire nation is going to be stronger for it. So every man, woman, and child should actually be fully aware that this policy exists. Let us interrogate it. Let us make sure that in our states, we even domesticate it to our state. What does that mean? That means that within, each state has its own unique nuances.
Yeah.
So in our states, these are the things that are, unique within our states that women deal with in our own states. Okay, let's make sure that the policy addresses those things.
Right.
Then once it's addressed, we can then interrogate and demand better from, the different actors, right, and representatives.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we have to wrap up. We have to cut it there, but thank you so much for coming to share. And we'll continue to monitor the work you do and see how else we can help you to project it and educate more women on the various policies.
We're doing training sessions for people who want to become champions of the policy.
Oh, great.
People like you, it's very important for you to be able to speak to the policy. Anytime you can have anybody, whether here in this seat or in your, personal spaces.
We'll be happy to have some of the ladies join you for the training so that they can also get more
fantastic.
information. It's good. We're here to support you. Any woman doing something great, we want to be there for you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Let's go on a very short break. When we come back, we'll continue with the show. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.